Welcome to Stoic Vivu, where ancient wisdom meets modern life. Let me ask you something. How many times today have you felt completely overwhelmed? How many decisions did you have to make before you even left your house this morning? What to wear, what to eat, which route to take to work, which emails to answer first, whether to check social media or dive straight into that project. By 9 a.m., most of us are already exhausted from what psychologists call decision fatigue, and the day has barely begun. Here's what fascinates me. 2,000 years ago, the most powerful and successful people in Rome faced the same challenge. Marcus Aurelius wasn't just philosophizing in some quiet library. He was running an empire, leading armies, managing a family, and dealing with plagues and invasions. Seneca wasn't just writing pretty quotes. He was one of the wealthiest men in Rome, advising emperors, managing vast business interests, and navigating deadly political intrigue. Epictetus taught philosophy while managing a school and dealing with the lasting effects of his years in slavery. These men were busy. They were stressed. They had responsibilities that would crush most of us. Yet they found a way not just to survive, but to thrive. They left behind wisdom that has endured for millennia. How did they do it? The answer isn't what you might expect. It wasn't about working harder or sleeping less or finding some ancient productivity hack. Instead, they discovered something profound: the power of daily habits. They understood that when you establish the right routines, you stop wasting mental energy on countless small decisions. You create a framework that carries you through chaos. A wise Stoic philosopher once observed that no one deserves more pity than the person who treats every situation as a new, uncertain decision. Think about that for a moment. The person who wakes up every day and has to decide whether to exercise, whether to journal, whether to read, whether to help others, that person is fighting 1,000 battles before they even begin their real work. But the person who has established habits, they've already won those battles. The decision is made. The path is clear. Today, I'm going to share with you 8 specific daily habits that the Stoics practiced and that you can implement immediately. These aren't complex philosophical concepts that require years of study. These are simple, practical actions you can start today. Whether you're stuck in traffic on the 405 in Los Angeles, cramming onto a subway in Manhattan, or battling a snowstorm in Chicago, these habits will transform how you navigate modern life. These 8 practices will give you clarity when everything feels chaotic, strength when you want to give up, and perspective when problems seem insurmountable. Most importantly, they'll help you build what the Stoics called a citadel of the mind, an inner fortress that no external circumstance can breach. So let's dive into the first habit, one that Marcus Aurelius himself practiced every single morning, even while commanding legions on the frozen Danube frontier. Habit number 1. Journal every morning like Marcus Aurelius. 5-minute clarity ritual. You're lying in bed, and your phone is already buzzing with notifications. Your mind immediately starts racing. That difficult conversation with your boss yesterday, the bills you need to pay, your mother's birthday you almost forgot, the presentation due next week. Before your feet even hit the floor, anxiety has taken the wheel. Sound familiar? Now let me paint a different picture. It's the year 170 AD, somewhere along the Danube River. The most powerful man in the world wakes up in a military tent, surrounded by the sounds of 40,000 soldiers preparing for battle. Plague is ravaging his empire. Political conspirators back in Rome are plotting against him. His own generals are questioning his decisions. Yet before Marcus Aurelius deals with any of these crises, he does something remarkable. He sits down and writes, not letters to senators, not military commands, not imperial decrees. He writes to himself. What we now know as Meditations was never meant to be a book. It was the private journal of a man under unimaginable pressure, working through his thoughts on papyrus by candlelight. Marcus called this practice retreating into himself. He wrote things like, at dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work as a human being. What do I have to complain of if I'm going to do what I was born for, the things I was brought into the world to do? This wasn't motivational speaking. This was a leader preparing his mind for the day ahead, clarifying his thoughts before chaos could cloud them. And here's what's remarkable. This simple morning journaling habit is exactly what you need in your modern life. Think about what happens in your mind when you wake up. It's like having 30 browser tabs open at once, each demanding attention, each creating mental noise. Seneca understood this perfectly when he wrote, every new thing excites the mind, but a mind that seeks truth turns from the new and superficial to the old and profound. The act of writing forces you to close those tabs one by one, to process rather than just react. Let me share how this works in practice. Take Sarah, a marketing director in Seattle. She used to start every morning by immediately checking emails, often while still in bed. By the time she got to the office, she felt like she was already behind, already reactive, already stressed. Then she discovered Marcus Aurelius's morning journaling habit. Now she keeps a simple notebook by her bed. Before touching her phone, she spends 5 minutes writing. Not poetry, not profound philosophy, just honest thoughts about what she's facing. Last Tuesday, she wrote, nervous about the client presentation. Remember, I can only control my preparation, not their reaction. If they say no, it's not a reflection of my worth. Focus on being clear, honest, and helpful. That's all. That simple act of clarification changed her entire day. Instead of carrying vague anxiety, she had clarity. Instead of fearing failure, she had perspective. Epictetus taught that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. When thoughts swirl in our heads, they grow darker, more complex, more overwhelming. But when we put them on paper through this morning journaling habit, something magical happens. They become manageable. That terrifying meeting becomes a simple conversation. That overwhelming to-do list becomes a series of small, actionable steps. Here's exactly how to implement this habit starting tomorrow morning. First, keep a notebook and pen beside your bed tonight. Not your phone with a notes app, an actual notebook. The physical act of writing engages your brain differently than typing. Marcus Aurelius didn't have digital options, but even if he did, the tactile experience of pen on paper would have served his purpose better. When your alarm goes off, resist the urge to check your phone. Instead, sit up, grab your notebook, and write for 5 minutes. Just 5. Set a timer if you need to. Write whatever comes to mind. Maybe it's your worries about the day. Maybe it's gratitude for what you have. Maybe it's reminders of what truly matters. Don't judge the writing. Don't worry about grammar or profundity. As Seneca wisely noted, it is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more who is poor. The same applies to your thoughts. You don't need perfect insights, just honest reflection. Some mornings, you might write about a conflict with a coworker. Jim's criticism yesterday stung. But was he wrong? Maybe there's truth I can use. I'll focus on the message, not the delivery. Other mornings, you might write about bigger questions. Why am I so focused on this promotion? Will it really make me happier? What am I sacrificing for it? Marcus Aurelius often used his morning journaling to remind himself about the nature of obstacles. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Imagine starting your day with that clarity, seeing your challenges not as burdens but as opportunities to practice virtue, to grow stronger, to become wiser. This habit isn't about becoming a writer. It's about becoming clear. It's about starting each day with intention rather than reaction. It's about building what Marcus called an inner citadel, a place of clarity and strength that no external chaos can penetrate. The transformation from this simple morning habit happens gradually but inevitably. After a week of journaling, you'll notice you're less reactive to morning stress. After a month, you'll find yourself handling difficult situations with more composure. After a year, you'll look back at your journals and see not just your growth, but your patterns, the worries that never materialized, the strengths you discovered, the wisdom you've gained. The morning journaling habit takes just 5 minutes, but it changes the entire trajectory of your day. While others stumble into their morning already behind, already stressed, you'll move forward with clarity and purpose. The Emperor of Rome found time for this practice while running an empire at war. Surely you can find 5 minutes before checking Instagram. Tomorrow morning, when your alarm sounds, you face a choice. Reach for your phone and let the world's chaos flood in, or reach for your notebook and take 5 minutes to prepare your mind for victory. The habit is simple. The impact is profound. Your clearer, calmer, more focused life starts with putting pen to paper tomorrow morning. Habit number 2. Take a daily walk without your phone. The Stoic stress cure. The conference room feels like it's closing in on you. Your boss just dropped another urgent project on your desk. Your phone won't stop pinging with messages. Your shoulders are somewhere up near your ears, and you can't remember the last time you took a full breath. You know what you need? Another coffee and to power through, right? Wrong. What you need is to follow the second daily habit that Seneca prescribed 2,000 years ago. You need to take a walk without your phone. Every new thought needs space to breathe, Seneca wrote to his friend Lucilius. The mind, like the body, requires circulation. He wasn't speaking metaphorically. The Roman philosopher-statesman, one of the busiest men in the empire, made daily walks non-negotiable. Not for exercise, Romans had plenty of that. For sanity. Let me share what happened to David, a software engineer in Austin. 6 months ago, he was burning out hard. 12-hour days staring at code. Energy drinks for breakfast. Anxiety medication for sleep. His breaking point came during a particularly brutal debugging session when he realized he'd been staring at the same line of code for an hour, making no progress. In frustration, he stormed out of the office. No destination, no podcast, no phone, just walking. 20 minutes later, something shifted. The solution to his coding problem appeared, clear as day. But more importantly, he felt human again. The weight on his chest had lifted. The racing thoughts had slowed. That walk saved more than his project, it might have saved his career. Now, David has made this phone-free walk a daily habit, and his productivity has soared while his stress has plummeted. Marcus Aurelius understood this deeply. Even while commanding legions in Germania, he made time for solitary walks. He wrote, "When you need encouragement, consider the qualities of your companions, but also consider the renewing power of solitude and movement." For Marcus, walking wasn't leisure. It was leadership preparation. This daily walking habit was as essential as reviewing battle plans. Here's what modern science confirms that the Stoics intuited. Walking literally changes your brain. The bilateral movement activates both hemispheres. The rhythm regulates your nervous system. The forward motion psychologically moves you from stuck to flowing. But the Stoics knew something even deeper. Walking without digital distractions connects you to the present moment in a way sitting never can. Epictetus, who walked with a limp from his years in slavery, still insisted on daily walks with his students. He taught that philosophy wasn't learned in lecture halls but in movement, in nature, in the space between thoughts. Wealth consists not in having great possessions, he said, but in having few wants. A walk costs nothing but returns everything: clarity, peace, perspective. Here's the critical element of this habit. You must leave your phone behind, or at minimum, put it on airplane mode in your pocket. No podcasts, no music, no calls. Just you, your thoughts, and the world around you. First, it's uncomfortable. Your mind races, grasping for stimulation. This is exactly why you need it. In our hyper-connected world, we've lost the ability to be alone with ourselves. We've lost what Seneca called leisure of the mind, not emptiness, but spaciousness. Lisa, a financial analyst in Manhattan, discovered this during the pandemic. Working from her tiny apartment, she felt trapped between Zoom calls and spreadsheets. Her therapist suggested implementing a daily walking habit. "But I don't have time," Lisa protested. "I have too much work." The therapist smiled. "That's exactly why you need to walk." She started with just 10 minutes around her block. No phone, no agenda, no fitness goals, just movement. The first week was torture. Her mind screamed about wasted time, about emails piling up. But by week 2, something shifted. She started noticing things. The way light hit the buildings at 3 p.m., the sound of her own breathing, the feeling of her feet on concrete. By month 2, her afternoon walk had become sacred. Not only was she less stressed, but her work improved. Problems that seemed impossible at her desk unraveled themselves as she walked. This isn't mystical. It's practical philosophy. When you walk, you engage what the Stoics called the view from above perspective. That deadline that feels like life or death. From the viewpoint of someone walking, it's just a date. That person who irritated you in the morning meeting? From the rhythm of your steps, they're just another human struggling through their day. Seneca wrote, "The mind must be given relaxation. It will rise improved and sharper after a good break. Just as rich fields must not be forced, for they will quickly lose their fertility if never given a break, so constant work on the anvil will fracture the force of the mind." He prescribed walks not as a luxury but as a necessity, not as a break from work but as essential to good work. Implementing this habit is beautifully simple. No special equipment, no gym membership, No optimal heart rate zones. Pick a time: morning, lunch break, or evening. Start with just 10 minutes if that's all you have. Leave your phone behind, or at least on silent. Let your mind wander. Don't try to solve problems. Solutions will arise naturally. Don't try to calm down, calm will find you. Marcus Aurelius often walked at dawn, using the time to prepare for the day's challenges. At day's first light, have in readiness, against disinclination to leave your bed, the thought that I am rising for the work of man. His walks weren't an escape from duty but preparation for it. Each step was a moment to align his actions with his values, to remember what mattered beyond the immediate crises of empire. You might think, I don't have time for walks. I'm not running an empire, but I'm drowning in responsibilities. But that's exactly backward. You don't have time not to walk. Every minute spent walking returns threefold in clarity, creativity, and calm. The project that would take 3 stressed hours might take 1 focused hour after a walk. The conversation you're dreading becomes clearer when you've walked out of the anxiety. Start this habit tomorrow. Pick your time, maybe lunch when the office energy peaks, or evening when you need to transition from work to home. When you feel the walls closing in, when your shoulders creep toward your ears, when the 20th email marked urgent arrives, stand up and walk. Not to anywhere, not for any goal. Just walk. Let your feet carry you and your mind follow. Let the rhythm restore what the chaos has stolen. The daily walking habit without your phone is perhaps the simplest yet most revolutionary practice you can adopt. In a world that profits from your stress, walking is rebellion. In a culture that monetizes your attention, walking unplugged is resistance. In a life that demands constant productivity, walking is wisdom. Make it non-negotiable, and watch how this ancient habit transforms your modern life. Habit number 3. Write 2 pages every day. The success secret no one talks about. You've been talking about that business idea for 3 years. Your novel sits at chapter 2, untouched since last January. That online course you wanted to create, still just sticky notes on your wall. Meanwhile, you watch others seemingly produce success after success, wondering what secret formula they've discovered. Here it is. They show up and write 2 pages every single day. That's it. That's the habit that changes everything. Zeno, the founder of Stoicism, built an entire philosophical school not through grand gestures but through daily, consistent teaching and writing. He understood a profound truth. Well-being is realized by small steps, but is truly no small thing. This principle applies to everything you want to achieve in life. The habit isn't about talent or inspiration. It's about showing up. Consider Marcus Aurelius again. While running an empire and commanding armies, he found time to write daily. Not because he was trying to create a bestseller, he was simply practicing the discipline of translating thoughts into words, of making progress through consistency. Be like a rocky promontory against which the restless surf continually pounds, he wrote. It stands fast while the churning sea is lulled to sleep at its feet. That promontory is built 1 stone at a time, 1 day at a time. Let me tell you about Jennifer, a nurse in Denver who dreamed of becoming a health educator. For years, she said she didn't have time to create content. 12-hour shifts, family obligations, exhaustion, all valid reasons. Then she discovered this simple habit: 2 pages a day. Not 2 perfect pages, Not 2 brilliant pages, just 2 pages. She started writing at 5:30 a.m. before her kids woke up. Some days she wrote about nutrition tips. Other days, stress management for healthcare workers. Many days she wrote garbage that she'd later delete. But she wrote. After 6 months, she had enough content for a blog. After a year, enough for an online course. After 18 months, she was earning enough from her health education platform to reduce her nursing hours. 2 pages a day changed her life. Seneca, despite his wealth and political duties, was one of Rome's most prolific writers. His secret, daily practice. Every new thing excites the mind, he observed. But a mind that seeks truth turns from the new and superficial to the old and profound. The old and profound truth is this: small, daily actions compound into extraordinary results. Here's why this habit works where grand plans fail. When you commit to writing a book, starting a business, or creating anything significant, your mind immediately calculates the enormity of the task. It sees the mountain and freezes. But 2 pages? Your mind says, I can do that. And you can. Anyone can write 2 pages, even bad ones. The key is lowering the bar so far that failure becomes almost impossible. Not 2 good pages, just 2 pages. Not when you feel inspired every day. Not when you have time, you make time. This is what Epictetus meant when he taught that excellence is not an act but a habit. No one becomes an expert overnight, he reminded his students. But everyone can make progress today. Michael, a financial advisor in Miami, wanted to write about personal finance for young professionals. He'd tried before, setting aside weekends, booking vacation time to write, waiting for inspiration. Nothing worked. Then he adopted the 2 pages daily habit. He wrote on his lunch break, just 2 pages about whatever financial topic was on his mind. Compound interest one day, budget basics the next. Most of it was terrible. That didn't matter. What mattered was that he wrote. After a month, patterns emerged. After 3 months, he had enough content to start a newsletter. After a year, major financial publications were requesting his articles. He didn't become successful because he was the best writer. He became successful because he wrote every single day. Marcus Aurelius put it perfectly. At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work as a human being. Your work as a human being includes creating, contributing, building something that matters. 2 pages a day is how you do that work. The habit is deceptively simple. Choose your project, that book, blog, business plan, or course you've been postponing. Set a specific time each day. Morning often works best, before the world's demands intrude. Open your document and write 2 pages. Not 2 perfect pages, just 2 pages. Stream of consciousness if necessary. You can edit later. You can revise later. But you cannot edit a blank page. Some days you'll write brilliance. Most days you won't. That's irrelevant. What matters is that you wrote. What matters is that your project moved forward. What matters is that you're building the muscle of consistency, the habit of progress. Seneca wrote extensively about time, noting that it is not that we have so little time, but that we waste so much of it. 2 pages take perhaps 20 to 30 minutes. You spend more time scrolling social media. You spend more time debating what to watch on Netflix. You have the time. The question is whether you'll use it. Here's what happens when you commit to this habit. Week 1 feels forced. Week 2 feels slightly easier. By week 4, not writing feels wrong. By month 3, you have 180 pages. By month 6, you have a body of work. By year's end, you've written the equivalent of several books, all from 2 pages a day. The Stoics understood that life is built action by action, page by page, day by day. They understood that waiting for perfect conditions means waiting forever. They understood that the only way to build something meaningful is to begin building it, imperfectly but consistently. Tomorrow morning, before you check email, before you scroll through news, before you let the day's urgencies claim you, write 2 pages. About your project, your ideas, your knowledge. Don't judge them. Don't edit them. Just write them. Then do it again the next day. And the next. Watch as this simple habit transforms your vague dreams into concrete reality. 2 pages at a time. Habit number 4. Do one thing daily for others. Why real Stoics serve. The biggest lie about Stoicism is that it's selfish. It's about building an impenetrable fortress around your emotions, caring less about others, focusing only on your own improvement. If you believe this, you've missed the entire point of the philosophy. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the world, spent his mornings not plotting conquests but contemplating how to serve. What brings no benefit to the hive brings none to the bee, he wrote. Real Stoics understand your well-being is inseparable from the well-being of others. Let me be crystal clear about this 4th habit. Doing one thing daily for others isn't charity. It's not about feeling superior or earning karma points. It's about recognizing a fundamental truth that Marcus Aurelius understood. We were born to work together, like feet, hands, and eyes, like the 2 rows of teeth, upper and lower. To obstruct each other is unnatural. Justice is one of the 4 cardinal virtues of Stoicism, standing equally alongside wisdom, courage, and temperance. Not justice as in legal proceedings, but justice as in fairness, service, and contribution to the common good. When you make serving others a daily habit, you're not being nice, you're being stoic. Take Robert, a corporate lawyer in Chicago. 6 months ago, he was the stereotype working 80-hour weeks, focused solely on billable hours and the partnership track. He studied Stoicism for productivity hacks, to become more efficient, to care less about office politics. Then he encountered Marcus Aurelius's words, "The fruit of this life is good character and acts for the common good." Stopped him cold. Robert started small. 1 act of service daily. Not grand gestures, practical help. He mentored a struggling junior associate. He brought coffee for the overworked paralegal. He volunteered 1 lunch hour weekly at a legal aid clinic. Something shifted. His work improved, but more importantly, his life gained meaning. The habit of daily service didn't make him soft. It made him stronger, clearer, more focused on what actually mattered. Seneca, one of Rome's wealthiest men, wrote extensively about serving others. Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end, he noted, speaking of how helping others creates ripples of positive change. Despite his wealth, or perhaps because of it, he understood that hoarding resources, whether money, knowledge, or time, violates natural law. The mind that is anxious about future events is miserable, he wrote, and nothing creates more anxiety than living only for yourself. Here's what modern people get wrong about strength. They think it means needing no one, helping no one, standing alone. The Stoics knew better. Real strength comes from recognizing your place in the larger whole and acting accordingly. When you make serving others a daily habit, you align yourself with the fundamental structure of the universe, interconnection. Maria, a tech executive in San Francisco, learned this the hard way. Burned out from years of climbing the corporate ladder, she was practicing Stoicism to become tougher, more resilient to workplace stress. She journaled, she meditated, she read Marcus Aurelius. But something was missing. Then she implemented this fourth habit, one act of service daily. She started by actually listening in meetings instead of waiting to talk. She shared credit generously. She mentored women entering tech. She used her platform to advocate for ethical AI development. The transformation was remarkable. Not only did her leadership improve, but her chronic anxiety decreased. By focusing on serving others, she paradoxically solved her own problems. Epictetus, who spent years enslaved, understood service from a unique perspective. Wealth consists not in having great possessions, he taught, but in having few wants. When you serve others daily, you discover that your wants naturally decrease. You realize how much you already have. You understand that the path to satisfaction isn't accumulation but contribution. This habit doesn't require grand gestures or huge time commitments. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire while maintaining this practice. Your daily act of service can be simple. Helping a colleague solve a problem, calling a lonely relative, picking up litter on your street, teaching someone a skill, listening without judgment to someone who needs to talk. The scale doesn't matter. The consistency does. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength, Marcus Aurelius wrote. But he also wrote, "What is not good for the swarm is not good for the bee." These aren't contradictory. When you serve others, you exercise power over your mind by choosing compassion over indifference, connection over isolation, purpose over emptiness. The practice is straightforward. Each morning, after your journaling habit, ask yourself, how can I serve someone today? Not in a way that depletes you or enables others' weakness, but in a way that strengthens the whole. Maybe it's sharing knowledge that helps a colleague grow. Maybe it's being fully present with your child instead of scrolling on your phone. Maybe it's using your skills to solve someone's problem. James, a restaurant owner in Houston, made this habit transformative. Every day, he looked for one way to serve training staff with patience, helping competitors with supplier issues, feeding homeless individuals without fanfare. His restaurant became known not just for food but for culture. Staff stayed longer, customers became regulars, the community rallied around him during tough times. Service created success. Seneca wrote, "Wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness." This isn't sentiment, it's strategy. When you make serving others a daily habit, you build a network of goodwill, meaning, and purpose that no external circumstance can destroy. You become what Marcus Aurelius called a citizen of the world, understanding your role in the larger whole. Some will say this makes you vulnerable, that others will take advantage. The Stoics would respond, "So what? Your virtue doesn't depend on others' responses. As Epictetus taught, you control your actions, not their reactions. When you serve from strength rather than neediness, manipulation becomes irrelevant." Tomorrow, implement this fourth habit. After your morning routine, identify one person you can serve today. Not save, not fix, not impress, serve. Do something that makes their life slightly better, expecting nothing in return. Watch how this simple daily practice transforms not just their day but yours. Discover what the Stoics knew. The path to personal excellence runs directly through service to others. Habit number 5. Push your body to train your mind. The Stoic workout rule. Your alarm goes off at 5:30 a.m. Everything in you wants to hit snooze. Your bed is warm. Your body is tired. And that voice in your head whispers, "You can work out tomorrow." This moment, this exact moment, is where Stoicism lives or dies. Because if you can't govern your body, how can you possibly govern your mind? The ancient Stoics weren't the philosophers you might imagine, frail men in togas discussing abstract concepts. Marcus Aurelius hunted and rode horses through military campaigns. Cleanthes was a boxer who worked as a water carrier to pay for philosophy lessons. Cato the Younger famously walked barefoot in winter and trained his body through deliberate hardship. They understood what we've forgotten. Physical discipline is mental discipline. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength, Marcus Aurelius wrote. But where do you develop this power? Not in comfortable meditation cushions or quiet libraries. You develop it when your lungs burn, when your muscles shake, when everything in you screams to quit, and you take one more step anyway. Let me tell you about Amanda, a banker in New York. Anxiety ruled her life, presentations made her sick, conflict paralyzed her. Uncertainty kept her awake at night. She tried everything: therapy, medication, meditation apps. Then she discovered the 5th Stoic habit: daily physical challenge. She started with CrossFit, chosen specifically because it terrified her. The first month was hell. She wanted to quit every single day. But something interesting happened. The voice telling her to stop during burpees was the same voice telling her to panic before presentations. The fear before attempting a heavy lift was the same fear before difficult conversations. By learning to push through physical resistance, she was training her response to mental resistance. Epictetus taught that we become philosophers not through reading but through practice. No one becomes an expert overnight, he said, but everyone can make progress today. When you establish a daily habit of pushing your physical limits, you're not just building muscle, you're building what the Stoics called fortitude, the ability to endure hardship with grace. This isn't about becoming a fitness influencer or training for the Olympics. It's about daily confrontation with resistance. Seneca deliberately practiced poverty, sleeping on hard floors and eating plain food. Why? Set aside a certain number of days, during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself the while, "Is this the condition that I feared?" When you push your body daily, you practice the same principle. That burning in your legs during squats, that's discomfort, not danger. That voice telling you to stop running, that's weakness, not wisdom. By distinguishing between true limits and false barriers in physical practice, you develop the ability to make the same distinction in life. Marcus, a software developer in Seattle, discovered this through marathon training. He wasn't athletic, quite the opposite. But he was tired of feeling mentally weak, of giving up on projects when they got difficult. He started running, using a simple rule. When your mind says stop, Take 10 more steps. Just 10. Those 10 steps taught him everything. In coding, when frustration peaked, he'd work 10 more minutes. In relationships, when he wanted to withdraw, he'd stay present 10 more seconds. The physical practice of pushing past resistance became a mental habit. The marathon was never the point, it was just the classroom where he learned to govern himself. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This perfectly describes physical training. The weight that feels impossible to lift is precisely what makes you stronger. The distance that seems too far to run is exactly what expands your capacity. The discomfort you avoid is the teacher you need. Here's how to implement this fifth habit without overwhelming yourself. Choose one physical practice that challenges you. Running, weightlifting, martial arts, rock climbing, swimming, the specific activity matters less than the daily confrontation with resistance. Start small, but be consistent. If you can only do 5 push-ups, do 5, then try for 6 tomorrow. The key is this: every day, find your edge and lean into it, not recklessly. The Stoics valued wisdom alongside courage, but deliberately. When your body says enough, ask if it's really enough or just uncomfortable. When your mind screams, stop, pause and assess. Are you at your true limit or just your comfort zone? Sarah, a teacher in Phoenix, chose yoga as her practice. Not gentle, relaxing yoga, power yoga that made her sweat and shake. Holding challenging poses while her muscles burned taught her to stay calm in classroom chaos. Breathing through difficult sequences prepared her for breathing through parent confrontations. The physical practice became mental training. Cleanthes, the boxer philosopher, worked manual labor by night to afford philosophy lessons by day. His students wondered how he had such mental endurance. His answer was simple. He who has trained his body to endure hardship has simultaneously trained his mind to endure difficulty. This habit isn't masochism or punishment. It's preparation. Every day brings challenges you didn't choose. Difficult people, unexpected problems, unwanted changes. But when you voluntarily challenge yourself physically each morning, you've already won your first battle. You've proven that discomfort doesn't control you, that resistance doesn't define you, that you can do hard things. The transformation is gradual but profound. After a month of daily physical challenge, you'll notice you're less reactive to stress. After 3 months, problems that once paralyzed you seem manageable. After a year, you'll have developed what Marcus Aurelius called an inner citadel, an unshakable core that no external circumstance can breach. Tomorrow morning, when comfort calls and resistance rises, remember, this is your opportunity, not to punish your body but to strengthen your mind, not to prove anything to others but to develop power over yourself. Choose your challenge, meet your resistance, and discover what the ancient Stoics knew, that the path to mental strength runs directly through physical discipline. Habit number 6. Say, Memento Mori, to everything, the 2 words that fix your life. You just got passed over for the promotion you worked 2 years to earn. Your stomach drops, anger rises, and your mind races with thoughts of unfairness and revenge. Stop. Take a breath. Say 2 words that will completely transform this moment. Memento Mori. Remember, you will die. Before you dismiss this as morbid or depressing, Understand what Marcus Aurelius knew when he wrote these words in his journal every morning. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. This wasn't pessimism. This was the most practical life hack ever discovered. The sixth Stoic habit, saying Memento Mori to both good and bad events, is the master key to emotional freedom. Think about what actually upsets you. Someone cuts you off in traffic. Your neighbor plays music too loudly. Your coworker takes credit for your idea. A stranger is rude at the coffee shop. Now add Memento Mori to each scenario. You're going to die. They're going to die. In the scope of eternity, in the face of inevitable death, how much does any of this really matter? But here's where this habit becomes truly powerful. It works equally on success. You land the big client. You get 1,000 new followers. You receive a prestigious award. Your investment pays off. Say Memento Mori to these two. You can't take any of it with you. In 100 years, no one will remember. This isn't to diminish achievement. It's to prevent arrogance and maintain perspective. Jennifer, a real estate agent in Dallas, discovered this habit after a brutal year. She lost her biggest client, her marriage ended, and her father was diagnosed with cancer. She was drowning in anger and self-pity until she encountered Seneca's writings on death. Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end, he wrote. She started practicing Memento Mori daily. When clients were difficult, Memento Mori, we're all dying. Let me be patient. When deals fell through, Memento Mori, this disappointment is temporary. When her ex-husband frustrated her, Memento Mori, life is too short for hatred. The practice didn't make her morbid. It made her free. Problems that once consumed her became minor inconveniences in the face of mortality. Marcus Aurelius used this habit to govern an empire. Consider how ephemeral and mean all mortal things are. He wrote, "Yesterday a drop of seed, tomorrow a handful of ashes." This from a man who could have anything he wanted, who had ultimate power. He understood that remembering death wasn't about becoming detached. It was about becoming appropriately attached to what actually matters. The practice is simple but profound. Throughout your day, whenever you feel yourself getting swept away by emotion, whether positive or negative, pause and say, Memento Mori. Your boss criticizes your work? Memento Mori. You're stuck in traffic? Memento Mori. You win the lottery? Memento Mori. Your child frustrates you? Memento Mori. Both you and they will die. Is this how you want to spend your limited time together? David, an entrepreneur in Miami, was riding high. His startup had just secured major funding, tech blogs were calling him the next big thing, and his ego was completely out of control. Then his mentor introduced him to this Stoic habit. At first, David resisted. Why would he want to think about death during his moment of triumph? But he tried it. When praise came, Memento Mori, this fame is fleeting. When criticism arrived, Memento Mori, their opinion dies with them. When stress peaked, Memento Mori, none of this pressure matters in the end. The habit didn't diminish his success. It gave him clarity to enjoy it without attachment, to work hard without anxiety, to lead without ego. Epictetus taught that we suffer not from events themselves, but from our judgments about events. Death is the ultimate event we judge negatively. But when you make Memento Mori a daily habit, Death becomes your advisor, not your enemy. It whispers truth in moments of delusion, brings calm in moments of chaos, provides perspective in moments of pettiness. This habit transforms how you experience everything. Road rage becomes impossible when you remember everyone on the highway is dying. Holding grudges becomes absurd when you realize you're wasting your limited heartbeats on resentment. Procrastination ends when you understand you might not have tomorrow. Anxiety about the future dissolves when you recognize you might not see it. Sarah, a nurse in Chicago, practices this habit in the most direct way possible. She works with dying patients, but she applies Memento Mori to her own life constantly. When her teenage daughter screams, "I hate you," Memento Mori, one day I'll wish I could hear her voice again. When hospital politics frustrate her, Memento Mori, this drama is meaningless. When she's exhausted after a 12-hour shift, Memento Mori, I'm alive to feel this tiredness. Seneca wrote, "Let us prepare our minds as if we'd come to the very end of life. Let us postpone nothing. Let us balance life's books each day." This is the essence of the Memento Mori habit. Not waiting for a terminal diagnosis to appreciate life. Not needing a near-death experience to gain perspective, but choosing daily to remember mortality and let it guide your actions. Some will say this is depressing, that thinking about death constantly would make life meaningless. The opposite is true. When you remember death, every moment becomes precious. Every interaction could be your last. Every sunset might be your final one. This awareness doesn't create sadness. It creates presence, gratitude, and clarity about what matters. The habit requires no special tools or time. As you move through your day, let Memento Mori be your compass. When you're tempted to waste time in pointless arguments, remember death. When you're about to skip calling your parents again, remember death. When you're stressed about things beyond your control, remember death. When you achieve something wonderful, remember that death keeps you humble. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the ancient world, ended each day with this reflection. You can make it your 6th daily habit, not as a morbid obsession but as a practical tool. Let death be your counselor, showing you what matters and what doesn't, what deserves your energy and what deserves your indifference. In a world of infinite distractions and false urgencies, Memento Mori cuts through the noise with crystal clarity. Life is short, you will die, so live accordingly. Habit number 7. Text that friend today, before it's too late. My friend Michael emailed me on a Friday afternoon. Just a quick note about getting together soon, maybe grabbing coffee and catching up. I glanced at it, thought, I'll respond Monday when I'm back at my desk, and archived it. By Sunday evening, Michael was dead. Heart attack at 42. No warning, no goodbye, just gone. And I never sent that reply. This 7th Stoic habit isn't philosophical theory. It's urgent, practical wisdom. Every single day, reach out to someone who matters to you. A text, a call, an email, a visit. Not tomorrow, not when you have time, today. Because the brutal truth that Marcus Aurelius understood is this: it is not death that a man should fear, but never beginning to live. The Stoics weren't emotionally detached robots. They understood that relationships are the fabric of a meaningful life. But they also understood what we forget in our busy modern existence: that every relationship exists on borrowed time. Seneca wrote to his friend Lucilius, "Hold every hour in your grasp. Lay hold of today's task, and you will not need to depend so much upon tomorrow's. While we postpone, life speeds by." Think about your phone right now. How many unresponded texts are sitting there? How many people have you been meaning to call? How many relationships are you maintaining with the bare minimum of birthday wishes and holiday cards? Now, imagine getting the news that one of those people died today. The regret would be crushing. This habit ensures you never feel that regret. Lisa, a marketing director in Boston, learned this lesson the hard way. Her college roommate had been reaching out for months. Texts about getting together, calls Lisa let go to voicemail, invitations she declined because of work. "We'll catch up soon," Lisa always said. Then came the diagnosis, stage 4 cancer. By the time Lisa flew to see her friend, it was too late for a real conversation. Her friend died holding Lisa's hand, but they never had that catch-up Lisa had postponed for 2 years. Now Lisa has a non-negotiable daily habit. Every morning, after journaling, she sends one meaningful message to someone in her life. Not a forwarded meme or a generic thinking of you. A real message. Sometimes it's to her mother. "Remember when you taught me to ride a bike? I was thinking about your patience today." Sometimes to an old colleague. "Your mentorship changed my career. Thank you." Sometimes to her husband. "I know I don't say it enough, but you make every day better." Marcus Aurelius, despite ruling an empire, made time for personal relationships. He wrote tenderly about his adoptive father, his teachers, his wife. In his private journal, meant for no one else's eyes, he expressed gratitude for the people who shaped him. "What we do now echoes in eternity," he wrote. "Every message you send, every connection you maintain, every relationship you nurture, these echo far beyond your own life." The habit is simple but requires intention. Each day, choose one person and reach out, not with need or agenda, but with appreciation, curiosity, or simple presence. Maybe it's a friend you haven't spoken to in months. Maybe it's a family member you see regularly but never really talk to. Maybe it's someone who helped you years ago and doesn't know the impact they had. Robert, a lawyer in Phoenix, started this habit after his brother's sudden death. They'd been estranged over a business dispute, 5 years of silence over something that seemed important at the time but proved meaningless in the face of loss. Now, Robert texts someone different each day. Old friends, distant relatives, former mentors. His phone has become a tool of connection rather than a distraction. Last month, he texted his high school basketball coach, "You taught me discipline that got me through law school. Still doing wall sits when I need mental strength. Thank you." The coach replied that he'd been feeling forgotten, questioning whether his years of teaching mattered. Robert's message came exactly when needed. This is how the habit works. You never know when you're reaching out might save someone's day, or even their life. Epictetus taught that we don't control external events, only our responses. But he also taught that we have duties to others, that we exist in a web of relationships. "No one is an island," he said, echoing wisdom across cultures. When you make a daily connection a habit, you strengthen the web that holds us all. The excuses are always the same. "I'm too busy. I don't know what to say. It's been too long. They probably don't want to hear from me." Seneca had an answer for all of these. Nothing, Lucilius, is ours except time. You have time for social media scrolling. You have time for Netflix. You have time for worrying about things you can't control. You have time for one meaningful connection daily. Here's what to say when you don't know what to say. I was thinking about you today. Remember when I'm grateful for. How are you really? Your advice about X still helps me. I miss our conversations. The specific words matter less than the act of reaching out. People don't need your eloquence. They need your presence. Maria, a teacher in Denver, keeps a simple list in her journal. Everyone who matters to her family, friends, mentors, students who made an impact. Each day, she picks one person and connects. Some days it's a long phone call, others just a quick text. She's rekindled friendships, healed family rifts, and discovered that many people in her life were struggling silently until she reached out. The transformation this habit creates is profound. Your relationships deepen. Your perspective shifts from scarcity to abundance. You realize how rich your life is in connections. But most importantly, you live without the regret of words unspoken, appreciation unexpressed, love unshared. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together, but do so with all your heart." This habit ensures you love with all your heart while you still can. Not in some future when you have more time. Not when the perfect moment arrives. But today through the simple act of reaching out. Tomorrow, before you get caught in the day's demands, send that message. Make that call. Don't wait for the perfect words or the ideal moment. Don't let another day pass, maintaining the dangerous illusion that you have unlimited time. You don't. They don't. But you have today. And today, one connection can make all the difference for them and for you. Habit number 8. Read with a pen in hand. The Seneca study method. You've read dozens of self-help books. Your shelves are full of wisdom you can't quite remember. You highlight quotes on your Kindle that you never revisit. You consume content like junk food quickly, mindlessly, moving to the next thing before digesting what you just took in. Meanwhile, Seneca read perhaps 1/100th of what you do, yet his insights shaped civilization. What was his secret? He never read without a pen in hand. Every new thing excites the mind, Seneca wrote. But a mind that seeks truth turns from the new and superficial to the old and profound. This 8th and final habit transforms reading from passive consumption into active transformation. When you read with a pen in hand, you're not just absorbing, you're conversing, questioning, applying, and truly learning. The ancient Stoics didn't have access to thousands of books. They had a few precious scrolls that they studied intensely. Seneca would read a passage, then write his thoughts, objections, and applications. He'd copy powerful quotes and add his own commentary. He'd ask himself, how does this apply to my life today? What action does this demand from me? This is the habit that turns information into wisdom. Let me tell you about Kevin, a business consultant in Seattle who thought he was well-read. He bragged about reading 50 books a year, had opinions on every bestseller, and could quote statistics and studies. But when pressed on how these books actually changed his life, he went quiet. He was a consumer of words, not a student of wisdom. Then Kevin discovered Seneca's method. He cut his reading by 80% but increased his learning tenfold. Now he reads with a notebook beside him. Every few pages, he stops and writes. Not summaries, that's for students. He writes applications. This idea about courage applies to my fear of confronting my business partner. This principle could solve our team's communication problem. I disagree because reading became thinking. Thinking became action. Marcus Aurelius demonstrated this perfectly in his meditations. These weren't original thoughts, they were his personal notes on what he'd read, his way of digesting Epictetus and other philosophers. Be like the rocky promontory on which the waves constantly break. He wrote, clearly processing something he'd studied and making it personally meaningful. This is what reading with a pen does. It makes universal wisdom personally transformative. The habit works like this. Never read without writing materials nearby. When something strikes you, whether agreement or disagreement, stop and write. Not later. Not when you finish the chapter. Write then. Write why it matters, how it applies, and what you'll do differently. Write your objections and work through them. Write the connections to other ideas. Write the specific situation where you'll use this insight. Sarah, a therapist in Chicago, revolutionized her practice with this habit. She'd always read professional development books, but nothing stuck. Now she reads with a journal dedicated to each book. When she read about cognitive behavioral therapy techniques, she didn't just highlight, she wrote exactly which clients could benefit and how she'd introduce each method. Her notes became lesson plans, treatment strategies, and personal experiments. Epictetus warned against the illusion of learning. Don't explain your philosophy. Embody it. Reading without writing is explaining. Reading with a pen is the first step toward embodying. When you write your thoughts about what you read, you're forced to clarify your fuzzy understanding. You can't hide behind, I know what they mean. You must articulate precisely what you understand and how you'll use it. This habit also reveals the books that deserve your time. If you're reading for 30 minutes and haven't written a single note, you're reading the wrong book. Seneca advised, every journey has a secret destination of which the traveler is unaware. When you read with a pen, you discover whether a book is taking you somewhere worth going or just wandering in circles. Michael, an engineer in Houston, used to pride himself on speed reading. He'd tear through business books, feeling productive but retaining little. Now he reads one book monthly, but that book changes him. His notebook from reading Letters from a Stoic has become his personal operating manual. He refers to his notes daily, applying Seneca's wisdom to modern engineering challenges, team dynamics, and personal growth. The transformation happens at 3 levels. First, comprehension writing forces you to understand, not just recognize words. Second, retention, what you write, you remember. Third, application, your notes become a bridge between theory and practice. Without writing, books are entertainment. With writing, books are an education. Here's the practical method. Choose books that have stood the test of time. Classics are classic for a reason. Read with a notebook and pen beside you. When something resonates, stop and write. Ask yourself, how is this relevant to my life right now? What specific situation does this address? What will I do differently tomorrow because of this insight? Write your answers. Be specific. Be honest. Don't write summaries, that's what students do for tests. Write applications, that's what practitioners do for transformation. Don't write what the author said, write what you'll do. Don't collect quotes, create action plans. Your notebook should read like a manual for your life, not a book report. Lisa, a startup founder in Austin, credits this habit with saving her company. While reading Marcus Aurelius with pen in hand, she wrote, he says, "The impediment to action advances action. Our biggest obstacle is funding. What if instead of seeking investors, we bootstrap and let constraints force innovation?" That note led to a complete strategy shift that made her company profitable within 6 months. Seneca read the same books repeatedly, each time with pen in hand, finding new applications as his life circumstances changed. A passage about dealing with anger might inspire notes about patience with children one year, strategies for difficult negotiations the next. The book remains constant. Your notes evolve with your growth. This final habit ties all the others together. Your journaling improves as you incorporate wisdom from reading. Your walks become richer as you contemplate what you've studied. Your service to others deepens as you apply philosophical insights. Reading with a pen isn't just a study method, it's a life transformation tool. Tomorrow, choose one book, preferably something by Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, or Epictetus. Read 10 pages with a pen in hand. Write not what you read, but what you'll do. Transform words into wisdom, wisdom into action, action into character. This is how you read like a Stoic. This is how you change your life. Your Stoic life starts now. You've now explored 8 powerful Stoic habits that can transform your life. Each habit is a building block, a tool designed to help you navigate the complexities of modern living with clarity and purpose. By adopting these practices, you're not just learning ancient philosophy. You're applying it to your daily life in tangible, impactful ways. Let's recap what we've covered. Journal every morning like Marcus Aurelius. This habit sets the tone for your day. By taking just 5 minutes each morning to clarify your thoughts, you create a mental space free from clutter and anxiety. You begin each day with intention, allowing you to face challenges with a clear mind. Take a daily walk without your phone. Walking is more than just physical exercise. It's a time for mental rejuvenation. Leaving your phone behind allows you to connect with your thoughts and the world around you. It's a practice of mindfulness that fosters creativity and reduces stress. Write 2 pages every day. This simple yet powerful habit transforms reading into an active dialogue. By committing to writing 2 pages daily, you turn knowledge into actionable insights. This process empowers you to take control of your narrative and drive your personal and professional growth. Do one thing daily for others. Serving others connects you to the world meaningfully. Each small act of kindness creates ripples of positivity, enriching both your life and the lives of those around you. This habit reminds you that your well-being is tied to the well-being of others. Push your body to train your mind. Physical discipline translates to mental discipline. By embracing challenges in your physical practice, you cultivate resilience and strength. This habit teaches you to push past discomfort, preparing you for life's inevitable hurdles. Say Memento Mori to everything. This powerful reminder of mortality shifts your perspective. It encourages you to cherish moments, appreciate relationships, and live fully in the present. By acknowledging the impermanence of life, you free yourself from trivial concerns and focus on what truly matters. Text that friend today. Maintaining connections is vital. This habit prevents regret and fosters meaningful relationships. By reaching out, You strengthen your social fabric and remind yourself of the importance of human connection. Read with a pen in hand. Transform passive reading into an active learning experience. By engaging with the material and writing down your thoughts, you deepen your understanding and create a personal repository of wisdom you can draw upon. As you incorporate these habits into your daily life, remember that progress isn't about perfection. It's about consistency. Some days will be easier than others, and that's okay. The Stoics believed in focusing on what you can control. You can control your actions, your reactions, and your commitment to these practices. Start small. Choose one habit to focus on for a week. See how it changes your daily experience. Once you feel comfortable, add another habit. Over time, you'll build a robust framework for living a Stoic life, one that equips you to handle the pressures and unpredictability of modern existence. Ultimately, the goal of Stoicism isn't to become an unfeeling robot. It's to cultivate a rich inner life that allows you to engage fully with the world. By practicing these 8 habits, you'll not only improve your own life, but also positively impact those around you. Now, take a deep breath and commit to starting today. Your Stoic journey begins now. Live with intention, serve with purpose, and embrace the wisdom of the ages. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of Stoic philosophy. If you found value in these teachings, consider subscribing to the Stoic Vivu channel for more insights. Share your experiences and remember, the path to a meaningful life is forged in daily practice.